Hello. Today we're going to take a look at the Silicon Designer Template Markup tool. This is the tool that we use to take InDesign templates that we want to make editable by a non-InDesign user and mark them up to determine what is editable and how it's editable. We're going to do that right inside Adobe InDesign using the Template Markup panel, which is installed in InDesign by a Silicon Publishing installer and accessible under the Window extension menu. This Template Markup panel is our hub for making this document editable in a browser. There are a few key areas to the Template Markup panel. Most importantly are our markup styles. These markup styles, which you can configure and control, allow you to determine what is editable and how it's editable in the document. In addition to that, we'll look at a couple other panels within or sections within the Template Markup panel. First is the Validation and Packaging tab. This is where we will get the ability in a few minutes to be able to package our template up for use in the Silicon Designer web interface. This also has a pre-flight capability, and in this case, it is identifying two of the objects in my template that do not have markup styles applied. So this will help me work through my document to determine what still needs to be done before I can upload this to the web. If I click on the item, you will see it selects the item on the page. So we can see this text frame that says beautiful, as well as this image frame with the MLS logo are both currently not given a markup style. So we're going to fix that in a few minutes. In addition, we will take a look at the Variables panel. The Variables panel allows us to mark up elements within the InDesign template, text or images, that can be replaced programmatically. We can do things like be able to substitute in names and photographs and things like that. And we'll look at that in a moment. But let's get started on applying the markup styles to those two text frames. Or those two frames, the text frame and the image frame. First, we'll start with the text frame for beautiful. We need to determine what is going to be editable about that. And in this case, I want the user to be able to edit the content, but not be able to move the text frame around, resize it, or do anything like that. So I'm going to apply this markup style, text content editable. And if I double click on that markup style, that will show me the style definitions. And here in the definitions, I can see that the content is going to be selectable, the frame is visible and selectable, and the content is deletable. So this is what I'm going to need to be able to edit the content without being able to affect the positioning of the box or anything like that. If we were to go look at the Validation and Packaging tab now, you'll see there's only one item that remains to be resolved, and that is that image frame. So what we're going to do is go back to the Markup Styles panel, and this is an Illustrator file that I've placed. In this case, I never want the user to be able to move it, delete it, or do anything. I want it to stay in that position in all documents that are created. So what I'm going to do, because it's a vector file, I'm going to apply a graphic markup style, and I'm going to make it static. And if we look at the definitions there, that is going to make it visible, and the user can't do anything else with it. Now, the markup styles have a lot of options. In this case, you can see these are the options I've set, but I can actually show you the default properties as well. So for this graphic frame, you'll see we can handle things like how the content should scale, what should happen when an image is placed, should it fit proportionally or should it fill the frame, and things like that. We can set limits for rotation and the like. With text frames and text styles, we can set minimum and maximum point sizes. We can determine whether the user can change the font. So you have very fine-grained control over what the user is going to be able to do in the editor. Lastly, before we package up our document, let's just go back and look at the validation and packaging. We're going to see that there are no errors. So this means that this document is ready to go to the web. But there's one more thing I want to do before we do that, and I want to apply variables to the document. And as I said at the beginning, what variables allow me to do is to mark elements on the page, images and text that can be replaced programmatically. In this case, I want to replace the agent name, Jenny Lewis, with the name of the person who we are creating the document for. This is going to be integrated into a portal. That portal is going to know who I am, so I want it to always put in my name so I don't have to manually type that. So I can come in here and I can just double click the variable here for customer name. The variables that are available to you can be configured specifically for your environment. So what you're seeing here are just a couple examples. I also want the ability for the phone number to be replaced. So I'm going to apply that variable of phone1. And then on the address, I'm going to apply the phone2. I'm going to apply the zip, the state, the city, and then finally the address. So now those variables are applied. So last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save my document, and you'll see here on my desktop, this is the InDesign document that we have open in InDesign. What you'll see after we finish packaging is there will be another document here, and that will be a zip that we can upload to the Nucleus admin for Silicon Designer. So we'll go back to our validation and packaging. We can see that we are good to go. We've got the green dot down here at the bottom. So I'm going to click our package button. That's going to take everything and package it up in a nice, neat bow. It is going to take our InDesign document and create SDXML, which is what's going to allow us to render this in the browser. And it's going to take our high-res print assets and create web proxies for them. Like that Illustrator file, it's going to create a vector graphic for it. And when it's done, you'll see that all gets bundled up into a package zip. And that package zip is ready to go to the Silicon Designer web interface. So what we're going to do, we'll go over to Nucleus, and here we'll create a new template. And I'll call my template markup demo, and we will go and browse for a document. And I'm going to choose that package that was created. You'll see here we could add things like categories and access tokens to limit rights and make things searchable. But in this case, we're just going to add the package zip, and I will click the add button, and that will upload my zip to Nucleus and then make this available as a template. So now that's available as a template. It has all of the assets, those images we were looking at. We can see the Illustrator files, and we can see under the variables the SDXML that describes how that layout should work in the editor. So the last thing I'll do, just to close this out, is we will launch the Silicon Designer front end. I'm going to do this from the admin, so it's not going to resolve any variables or anything like that. That's done through integration with your end user portal. But what you can see here is that it loaded my document right here in the web interface, and we can see the text here. We can see the MLS logo. You'll notice I can click on that logo all I want, and it's not going to allow me to edit it because it is locked. But I can come in here and I can, make edits to my text, and it looks like there might have been a return at the end of that, and that's why we're getting a overset warning here. And I'm just going to decrease the type size as well. So you'll see here that gives me the ability, the control to make those changes on the text, but I can't move that image frame at all. Whereas that that logo, that is completely locked. It is object by object capable, so you'll see this this item here gives me a lot more control where I can actually move that image around within the frame. So that concludes our demo of the Silicon Designer template markup tool and the process of making that editable in a browser. Thank you very much.